If I could have your attention here in the media center, we are now joined by the second place finisher in tonight's Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Can-Am Duel #1 here at Daytona International Speedway. And that's Jamie McMurray, driver of the #1 Cessna McDonald Chevrolet for Chip Ganassi Racing. Jamie, could you walk us through those final laps? Really exciting race out there tonight. Could you tell me just what it was like, you know, battling with the four there and battling for that second place finish?
Yeah, I mean, getting to have the caution with 8 laps to go, for me, kind of calmed everything down. You know, when you go back to restart, that it's going to take 2 or 3 laps to get up to speed and kind of get everything settled. And the fact that I was on the bottom, I thought was good. It seemed like the outside row would get split and be 3 wide, and that would shorten up that row, so the bottom would have a little more momentum for a few laps. So yeah, I thought getting to restart third was a great place. Honestly, I thought I got a really good run going into 3, I think, from the 6 car, and I thought I was going to be able to have enough of a push to get beside the 24, but the leader, you just kind of kept pushing him further out, so it was hard to break that plane and get beside him.
Okay, we'll open the floor for questions. We'll start here with Dustin Long and then go up to Bob.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Jamie, with running behind Chase tonight, obviously the leader has the opportunity to block both lanes and make moves. A lot of you guys, when you're up there, veterans, you seem like you're very fluid and it's a very smooth. It seems like with him, because he's still new to this, and I think he even talked about in Victory Lane that he's still got a little bit to learn. It's a little bit less fluid. Can you talk about what you saw, and if this is the Daytona 500, does he get some of the breaks that maybe he would have gotten tonight going back and forth?
Yeah, I thought he did a really good job. I kind of understand what you're saying. You know, when you're the leader, or it doesn't really matter where you're running. You run 90% of the race looking in the rearview mirror, and you're looking at the lanes and trying to decide which lane looks like it has the biggest run, and then also listening to your spotter and hoping that he can verify what you're seeing. If he says the opposite, then you have to make a decision of which one to block. But I thought Chase did an awesome job. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter who it is. At some point, we all make a bad decision out there. I made a couple tonight and was fortunate that it didn't cause a wreck. But that's what happens at places like this. So yeah, I mean, I thought Chase did a great job tonight.
Go next to Bob.
Bob Hockress, ESPN. I know points were on the line, but how much was that like preseason football where people aren't going to show maybe everything they want to show or can do for Sunday?
I would say that everyone raced as hard as they could. I did. I don't. You know, you don't get to just. It's a little different at a place like this. But I think anytime we get in the cars and you start driving, you race as hard as you can. So I don't think it's a fair comparison to football. It's quite a bit different. It's a race. It paid points. And I mean, we're all here to race and to do the best we can. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. Yeah.
Go next to Jim.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. As kind of a follow to that, there were several comments about people thinking that the racing was perhaps a little better or more aggressive than last year. Did you notice any difference in that regard, and could points have played a role in that?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with points. And my opinion, before we came down here, we put a smaller plate on. I thought that was going to make it worse racing. You know, it seems like the more power we have, the better we do. But the most interesting thing that I saw tonight that I was encouraged by is the leader still has an advantage, but the cars in second and third or fourth and fifth, a couple of rows back, were able to get pretty big runs. Not everybody could get by the leader, but you were able to get pretty big runs, and the leader was having to do a lot of blocking. The other thing that was different to me is that the top wasn't the place to be. I mean, at one point, everyone started moving to the top, and no one wants to do that. But I moved to the bottom. A couple guys went with me, and we started making ground up. So I thought that was great, the fact that it wasn't going to get single file. It tried to at one point. It only took 3 or 4 cars to get the bottom lane moving again. So I don't think, I mean, it had nothing to do with points. I don't know if it had anything to do with the plate. I think it's just some of them are better than others, and I don't know that anyone has the answer as to why.
Holly Kane, and then we'll go upstairs to the press box.
Okay, Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. Jamie, I know that typically at a restrictor plate track, you guys say, well, anyone can win. It's that kind of a race. But does it feel like to you that there are a lot more serious contenders, that it could be this team, that team, this guy, more so maybe than in years past? Does it feel so wide open to you as well?
Well, I think that the Penske cars are still the two. I mean, if you have to make a list, that's the top of the list. Both of those guys are really good plate racers, and their cars are really good. It seems like Doug has done an incredible job with their engines again. And what in the Clash, I kind of thought Ford was the best cars. Tonight, I didn't see that. The 2 was good. The 22 was obviously pretty good, but I thought that my car, Chase's car, was really good. Obviously, Matt and Kyle are always really fast. But it doesn't seem like there's a clear favorite. I mean, we come down here a lot of years, and you kind of pick a guy, and you're like, well, if he finishes, he's going to be there in the end. But I don't know. I think there's 10 guys that have a legitimate shot to win this year.
Go upstairs to the press box.
Bruce Martin with Speed Sport Magazine, NationalSpeedSportNews.com. Tonight was the first.
He's busy.
Tonight was the first night that you had been in the car. You last practiced on Saturday. You guys put on a great show tonight without practice. Does it kind of show that maybe practice is a little bit overplayed?
Well, this is here in Talladega would be the exception to the rule. I think everywhere else we would like to have some practice. This is a place that we've run the same setups for the last, the rear springs are basically issued to you. I think you have like a 50-pound rate difference in right rear spring. The shocks are issued to you in the rear. So there's not a lot of setup changes that happen here. The ride height rules are what we've had forever. So this is a little bit different. I don't know that anyone was really worried when practice got rained out today. To me, if you weren't in the race on Sunday, then maybe it'd be, it was going to be nice to get out and do a little bit of drafting because we haven't been in the cars in a while. But even I didn't draft at all. And when they threw the green flag in the race on Sunday, in a couple of corners, it just kind of feels like you've been in the car. So this is a little bit of a different scenario than what we would have maybe at Atlanta or at Martinsville and those places.
Jamie, thanks for joining us. Good luck in the Great American Race. And we are now joined here on stage by Corey LaJoie, driver of the number 83 Dustless Blasting Toyota for BK Racing, a former member of the NASCAR Next program who will now be racing in the 59th annual Daytona 500. Corey, what's it like for you to hear those words and to be able to say that you're going to be racing in the Great American Race?
That's pretty damn. Check. I had my answer all geared up and then I had a dead mic. It's pretty damn cool. Obviously, Wreck and Read, it wasn't how I drew it up. And it certainly wasn't on purpose, but I was just trying to fill a hole, and he didn't think I should be there. And essentially, back to the practice question you asked Jamie, that was my first ever practice on a speedway in a cup car ever. So I was learning every lap, and I was doing the best I could up to the end when they started getting dicey. And I knew I was locked in. I kind of rode and made sure those guy doesn't wad us up. But I'm sure the Daytona 500 is going to be another practice session for me. It's all new to me. I didn't even know where to go for the drivers' meeting or nothing. So I'm learning that this just like somebody the first time I've been around here since I was a rug rat. But it's pretty cool being here as a cup drivers, making my first Daytona 500. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll open the floor for questions. If you have questions for Corey, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. Do we have any questions from the press box? Or we'll go here to Bob.
Corey, obviously Reed was somewhat upset.
I'd be too.
Yeah. Does there? When you're battling, when you know that he's in front of you, how nervous is it? Any more nerve-wracking because you know if you have contact, it's not gonna be the way you want to do it.
I don't really have an answer to that question. I just had to beat him, and I didn't want to be sipping margaritas on the beach on Sunday. I wanted to be out there racing. So If that was my mom, I'd probably spin her out to make the Daytona 500 too. That's just frank, and I'm sure I'm not going to be on Reed's Christmas card list this year, but that's all right.
Go next to Al.
Yeah, Corey, Al Pearson, Auto Week. At some point during the race, you knew Reed was no longer a factor to race his way in. You knew that Brendan Gaughan had the best speed among the other guys. Did you sort of think you had it kind of made after Reed was done?
Well, I mean, yeah, I did technically. That's why I didn't really get up there in the mix at the end of it, because if I'd have tore my car up, that we definitely wouldn't have made the race. So I just kind of lagged back, and it definitely eats at your competitive side watching everybody else dice it up. But I'll save that for Sunday.
Go next to Jenna.
Jenna Fryer, AP. I heard you briefly say on TV, and we lost the interview. How did this ride come about? You were in your dad's shop, and it just kind of fell in your lap?
That was a short script version for TV, but there was a lot of politicking on my end and a lot of people's end, and Ron could have put lots of guys in it. Casey Mears, or the list is long for guys he could have put in it, but. Obviously, he likes giving young drivers a shot with Matt and Ryan Truex and Alex Bowman, and the list goes on. So I was politicking very hard. I obviously don't have a whole lot of starts in any division. I kind of been part-time in everything, with limited Xfinity starts, limited truck starts, and a couple Cup starts. So, I mean, I know I can do it in the right opportunity. So I politic very hard, and I didn't feel like I was making a whole lot of headway with it. So I texted Jimmy Johnson, and I said, hey, I feel like if the 7-time champ coming, 2 weeks removed from a 7 championship can make a text, it could carry some weight. So he was like, oh, yeah, no problem. So he called him up, talked for about an hour, and like 2 days later, the call came to me. Hey, this is the call you've been waiting for. Let's go. And it's still only part-time, and BK's working hard to try to sell sponsorship to fill more races. But right now, all I care about is Sunday.
We'll go to your right here to Marty Smith.
Congratulations, young man. Some of us know about your struggle, man. You've scrapped and clawed and tried and dug and begged, and now you've qualified for the Daytona 500. How do you encapsulate the ride?
Man, there was times I wanted to stop, but it just all worked out, The big man's got a plan.
Any additional questions for Corey? Well, Corey, congratulations on racing your way into the Daytona 500, and best of luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Just saw what Chase Elliott did in that previous duel. He's got to be feeling pretty good about his race car. 6 onboard cameras for this race, and in the back of the field, Elliott Sadler locked in on speed.
If I could have your attention in the media center, we're going to continue on with our post-race media availability in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. And we're joined now by the driver who is currently the points leader of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, and that is Chase Elliott, driver of the number 24 NAPA Auto Parts Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports, who won tonight's Can-Am Duel race number 1. Chase, walk us through that accomplishment and how you feel at this point in time.
Yeah, I know they just started that one, so I'll be quick. But, no, it was definitely a great way to start the season. And as I said on TV, I know it's just a dual win, and you obviously wish it was Sunday and counted towards the playoffs. But it still means a lot to me. It means a lot to our team. Happy to have NAPA colors on board tonight, and had some big steam under the hood, which was a huge factor in keeping us out front. So. Glad we were able to race and stay aggressive and battle those guys, and hopefully we can dial it in just a little better for Sunday and give it another shot.
Outstanding. We'll go to Holly and then the Jim.
Congratulations, Chase. I know that you're always very modest, but can you say that you feel like you should be considered a favorite for the Daytona 500?
Oh, I definitely think we have a shot at it. I mean, if I didn't feel that way, I would, like I always say, I'd stay home. So I feel like we have a shot on Sunday. I felt like we had a shot before we got down here. So tonight's result hasn't changed my opinion on that. So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, you love to get that qualifying spot on Sunday, but we really earned it tonight, to start on the front row, which is even better. So just a great way to start the season. Cool for our team, and we're excited for Sunday and getting the season going.
Go next to Jim and then back to Dustin.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. I think it was early in the race, either Alan or Eddie asked you about people drafting with you, and you said same old, same old. But did you feel that got better over the course of the race, and do you feel that you felt like you'll get some help on Sunday?
Well, yeah, I think it just depends, and obviously guys are going to do what they feel like is best for them. That's just the fact of life when it comes to racing. So you don't blame them for doing their own thing, but sometimes you just got to make your own, kind of do your own thing and try to make your own lane, and you certainly have to have some people go with you at some point to move forward, and definitely I feel like after that lap 25 caution. I'm not sure if it's just how the lanes lined up and the lanes that opened up for us that we were able to push our way up through there. But the big thing was we had a good car. And I think as the race went along, I feel like a couple guys caught on to that, and they thought by helping me, they might help themselves. So, again, it's all just what you can do to help yourself. And if they don't feel like helping me is going to help them, then they're not going to help you. And that's just the way it is.
Go next to Dustin Long.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. I think you mentioned in Victory Lane that you learned a lot from Keselowski and said you kind of haven't perfected things. One thing it seems is he's able to really block both lanes in a very smooth, fluid manner. Is that kind of, how comfortable are you doing that? And, how much more aggressive do you think it's going to be Sunday? How much do they give you a break a little bit in when you were blocking?
Yeah, I really don't know that it changes a whole lot. Obviously the intensity is going to be up racing for a Daytona 500, and I'm not sure. You just don't really know, I guess is the best way to answer that, because the way the lanes form, and it's just a power in numbers, and it's a power in what cars are lined up in what row, and how they're stacked against you, and whether they're 2 wide or 3 wide behind you. But there certainly are guys that do a really good job once they get out front. They're really tough to get by, and we see that all the time at these places. So, no, I don't think I have it perfected by any means, but I learned a lot about it tonight, and I got some great experience, being able to stay out front in those final laps. I know it wasn't for a 500 win, but I felt like those guys were still trying to get some runs, and I'm sure that'll be amped up Sunday, but it was still, I think, similar to what you'll see. I feel like one of the biggest things I picked up on was who the players were tonight, and who's going to be good on Sunday, and what cars to look out for. So I have learned a couple things I'm going to keep in back of my mind on that, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's obviously very circumstantial. We could show up. It's going to change time to time as you come back to these plate races. Guys are going to get better. Some guys are going to fall off. So it was good to learn about that, and then I'm eager to get back and see how these guys do. I know with as good as our motors are run tonight, I feel like Dale's going to be really tough. So we'll see.
Good deal. Well, Chase, congratulations on the race win, and good luck on Sunday in the Great American Race.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.